Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv. Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
Okay, as the hour has reached 7 o'clock, I'll call the meeting to order. Good evening, Exeter. Good evening to my colleagues on the board, respective town staff, those in attendance this evening, and certainly those watching from home. Welcome to the November 6, 2023 Town of Exeter Select Board meeting. And then there were three. Usually I start to my right, but Selectman Chartrand is absent this evening due to a family commitment, and our Vice Chair, Selectwoman Molly Cowan, is ill, and certainly wish her speedy recovery. But we do have our clerk, Selectwoman Julie Gilman. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Selectwoman Nancy Belanger. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Our town manager, Mr. Rustine. Good evening.
Good evening.
Our recording secretary, Joanna Bartel. Good evening. And my name is Nico Papakostandis. There are three of us. We do have a quorum, so we will be taking votes when appropriate this evening, and it'll be a three-person vote. So with that, introductions being done, I would open it up to public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to weigh in with any comments to the select board. We do ask, though, that if your comments are relative to anything on the agenda, you wait till that agenda item comes up, and I'll pause for a moment for public comment. And we don't have anybody on Zoom, so we'll move forward. There are no proclamations or recognitions this evening. We do have a set of minutes from our regular select board meeting of October 30th, 2023. And I'd ask the board first if there are any revisions or amendments.
I have none.
Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the Exeter Select Board regular meeting minutes of October 30th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Thank you. There are no appointments or resignations this evening, so we can jump right into our discussion items. The first of which is a donation to consider. And I don't see anybody here from the Exeter Arts and Culture. We do have Dave Tovey, Assistant Park and Rec Director, who is staffed to the Exeter Arts and Culture Commission, but I can give a little bit of history on this as well as Dave. This started out with an individual resident here in Exeter, Bruce Jones, who has a sculpture at his house, and he wanted to donate it to put on Swayze Park. So the donation request came before the Swayze Park trustees, and I'm the select board rep to the trustees, and a few members of the Arts and Culture Committee appeared, and the trustees did not feel comfortable accepting the donation because they have a current no bench policy. They are not accepting any bench donations at this time, and even though this is a sculpture, it can be sat on, and they thought it was a little too close to being what appeared to be a bench, though they did suggest that they would be open to any other type of art or sculpture donations in the future. So as a conversation ensued, we talked about maybe putting it on town property, and so the donation request came before the Arts and Culture Commission, and I was there as well as Mr. Tovey. And Mr. Jones is very excited to donate this. The artist or the sculpture, it's quite heavy. He is going to move the sculpture himself. He is going to furnish the Parks and Rec director with a certificate of insurance liability. And Dave and we now Florence Ruffner from the Arts and Culture Committee just entered. Florence, I brought it up to where we're at with this evening. So if you want to talk a little bit about the sculpture and the donation and the location.
Bruce isn't here. Okay. Well, Bruce and Tracy Jones. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, Bruce and Tracy Jones are donating the hawk sculpture. And for the Stewart Park?
Stewart Park, yep.
Because you were at our meeting with the Swayze, and it just didn't work out for there. Sorry, I'm huffing puffing.
That's okay.
Big stare.
I took everybody through the Swayze Park meeting, the generous donation to
Okay,
Bruce,
okay.
and how we got to where we're at now. And at the last Arts and Culture meeting, we talked about, what we'd need from Mr. Jones, and he's talked with the sculptor who's going to move it himself, and he's going to provide a certificate of insurance.
Right.
And I didn't know if you and Dave just wanted to talk about the location, a little bit about the sculpture.
Sure. I'll mention that one of the ongoing projects and efforts of the Arts and Culture Committee is to add to the different artwork around town, spread awareness of the artwork that is available in Exeter. So this edition goes right along with those efforts. Other communities have some really great art walks, and we're moving towards getting a map of that just to bring some people in, visit Exeter to see all of that. So this piece of art has been in discussion for a while. I think it fits in really nicely with, especially at Stewart Park, being down by the water and all the different birds that are down there. We just felt it would be a nice addition to Stewart Park down there for a lot of people to enjoy.
Thank you. Before we have any questions or comments, Mr. Dean, would it be possible for Exeter TV to maybe put this on the screen briefly? I don't know if
It's on our
it's on the,
meetings.
yeah, it's in the packet, right?
It's in a supplemental packet on our.
Yeah, it's in a supplement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had this in the
Okay.
packet.
Just be nice to put it up there.
I'm told the viewers can see it.
They can see it. Yep.
Okay, great.
Yep, they can see it.
Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you. Questions or comments?
Yeah, so will there be any sign that recognizes Mr. Jones as the donation and Mr. Gray as the artist?
I think we talked about recognizing the artist. I don't know so much
Oh.
about the donor. Did we talk about that?
We didn't mention no, but if the artists would like that, we certainly could, and the
Arthur
same goes
Joneses would like
to
it,
the
yeah.
Joneses.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that would be really
Yeah.
nice, and maybe with a short description of what it is.
Yeah, I would like for you guys to consider that, because I
Yeah.
think it's important not only to recognize who donates it, but the artist.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be
absolutely.
great.
Yeah.
That's it for
Okay.
me. Thank you.
Selectwoman Gilman.
Excuse me. Now, Selectwoman Belanger asked the question I was going to ask, and really appreciate the donation. I think that's an appropriate place for it, given all the photographs of the bald eagle that I've seen down in that area. Thank you.
Terrific. Well, if there are no further questions, I would entertain a motion to accept the donation of the hawk sculpture donated from resident Bruce Jones and artist Joseph Gray to be installed and permanently displayed in Stewart Park, and to further authorize the Arts and Culture Commission and Parks and Rec Department to put a plaque recognizing the Jones family as well as Mr. Gray, if he'd like.
I so move.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very
you.
much. Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Ruffner. Next on the agenda, we have our third reading for the application for a 15-minute parking limit space to be placed at 152 Front Street. At this time, I would entertain a motion to open the third public reading.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. The public reading is open. The ordinance is 103.7, 15-minute parking, which currently reads Front Street, south side 4 spaces east of post office entrance, Monday through Saturday. And again, this application is to add or amend the ordinance to include one spot for 15-minute parking on 152 Front Street. Are there any members of the public here that wish to speak to this? And again, there are none on Zoom. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to close the public reading.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Public reading is closed. Are there any questions or comments from members of the board?
So the only questions I have, I'm fine about this, and I understand would be the spot closest to the tracks, but they're not lined. So the other day I noticed that there were 4 cars parked there, so it's long enough for 4 cars, but it's also if a truck wants to park in there, they're not taking up 2 spots. So what my question is, are we going to mark all 4 and then mark the one closest to the tracks as 15-minute? Is that the intent?
That would seem prudent, Mr. Dean?
Yes,
That is the intent?
that's the intent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very well. Thank you for the question. Selectwoman Gilman, any questions?
No, I have no questions. I just wondered if we needed to be more specific about the location, just south side, west end. Before.
Well, we're amending the ordinance, so we can word it however.
Okay.
Like, do you have a suggestion?
Well, similarly on the front street one, it says the south side 4 spaces east of post office entrance. That we do something like I move to approve a 15-minute parking space on the south side of Front Street, at closest to the railroad tracks, close to, in front of 152 Front Street.
Do we need to, in the motion, and if I didn't hear correctly at the beginning, we have to amend the ordinance?
Yes, I would move to amend ordinance 103.7 to add a 15-minute parking limit on the south side of one space on the south side of Front Street in front of 152 Front Street.
I'm not going to if they ever change the number, we'll deal with that later. I know, I was just debating on, yeah. No, that's fine. Is that your motion?
Yeah.
Then I will second it.
We have a motion?
The railroad tracks in there or not?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Joanna. There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you. Okay. We have 3 public hearings.
Okay.
First of which, if you'll bear with me to get my paperwork in order. The first is a public hearing on an E911 recommendation for street names and street addressing. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing on the E911 address changes.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Public hearing is open. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. So thank you for having me. From the E911 committee, we're looking for 3 recommendations tonight. The first of which is to accept a new proposed road name that's going into the Rose Farm subdivision. We're looking for the name to be Sunflower Lane and then to number the dwellings that are going to be built on that road accordingly to our chapter 14 of the town ordinance. Should I do them separately or do you want to do all 3 of them at once?
Why don't you do all 3, and then we can open it up to the public if there's any.
All right. The second one would be to change the name of Oak Street Extension to just a continuance of Oak Street, and again to number any of the structures accordingly to chapter 14 of the town ordinance. And then lastly was to renumber the properties that are on Boulderbrook Drive, again, in accordance with chapter 14 of the town ordinance. Boulderbrook Drive and Oak Street Extension were both identified from the state, so they are corrections that we'll be making to go along with those recommendations from the state.
Okay, great, thank you. Any questions?
No,
No?
No.
Okay.
pretty straightforward.
Are there any members of the public that wish to speak to this? Okay, and again, there's nobody on Zoom, so seeing no members of the public, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Public hearing is closed. We'll bring it back to the board. If there are no questions or comments, we could go ahead and...
One at a time.
We'll go one at a time. So I'd entertain a motion on the first one to name the new proposed road in the Rose Farm subdivision to Sunflower Lane and to number the dwellings in accordance with Chapter 14 of the Town Ordinance as depicted on the attached map dated July 13th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion passes 3-0. I would then entertain a motion to change the name of Oak Street Extension to Oak Street, therefore making it a continuation of the existing Oak Street, and to continue to Sunflower Lane as depicted on the attached map dated July 13th, 2023, and to renumber dwellings in accordance with Chapter 14 of the Town Ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion passes 3-0. And finally, I'd entertain a motion to renumber the properties on Boulderbrook Drive in accordance with Chapter 14 of the Town Ordinance and to maintain the current numerical unit address of the multifamily condominium complexes as depicted on the attached map dated October 3rd, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Okay. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, the next public hearing is to take up consideration of accepting a grant of $200,000 for the EECBG grant, which is the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant. I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Public hearing is open. Good evening, Kristen. Kristen Murphy.
Good evening, everyone. Kristen Murphy, Conservation and Sustainability Planner for the town. Renee Allen, Chair of the Energy Committee, is here with me tonight, and we are really excited to bring this opportunity to residents of Exeter. As the memo reflected, this was a very competitive grant. There were only 12 of these awarded nationally. So for us in a small state like New Hampshire to receive a portion of those funds, we're pretty excited. The crux of this project would be using the $200,000, combining it with weatherization funds from New Hampshire Saves and possibly the State Department of Energy weatherization funds to retrofit 100 manufactured homes within Exeter's 4 resident-owned communities. The beauty of this is there's potential for up to $17,000 of retrofits to each of those residents, which could be could make a substantial difference in individuals' energy bills. So. We're here tonight to seek your support in accepting this grant. I'm happy to answer any questions, but should you feel ready to make a motion, there's one in your packet.
Okay. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak to this? And nobody on Zoom? Okay, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Public hearing is closed. It'll come back to the board. I don't have any questions, but once again, I would just like to recognize the work that you and Renee Allen and the Energy Committee did. This is fantastic.
Exciting.
Quite an accomplishment. It's incredibly exciting. It was very exciting to have Senator Shaheen here a few weeks ago and to meet with all of the people that you've worked with, some of whom I think you met for the first time face to face. That was exciting. And just to see, no pun intended, the energy in the room. And I was thankful to be invited to that. But again, thank you. Congratulations. This is a big deal. Thank you.
Just my apologies for not being here that day. I tried to rework my schedule. It just didn't work out. So congratulations. This is a big deal, as Nico said, and it's really going to serve, I think, an underserved population of our community. So thank you both very much for the efforts and getting this grant.
My only thing is, can you explain to the folks at home how this is going to be administered?
Yeah, so administer, well, I'll explain basically how it'll be launched and then administered if you'll entertain that. So basically the concept is we would host weatherization clinics within each of these 4 communities. Those clinics would go over some of the types of retrofits that are possible, solicit applications. Those applications would be vetted through the New Hampshire Saves application process. And they have an income qualification process already established. So as long as they qualify, it would go to the first 100 applicants, basically. We thought we'd roll it out, 25 applicants from each community, and then if we don't get 25, we'll open it up to all of them, just to kind of keep it even. For applicants that do apply, they would receive a home energy audit. So certified home energy auditors would go into their home, take a look at the conditions there, identify, their utility usage currently, make recommendations for changes and upgrades. The resident could choose among the options, and then that individual, it's Resilient Buildings Institute, would be the coordinator of the contractors. Once the repairs are completed, they would contact the town of Exeter and identify, we need to track and document how much energy savings there is for each unit. So they would contact us for the $2,000 portion, EECBG portion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kristen.
Yeah.
Mr. Dean, did you have anything to add?
Just wanted to offer my congratulations to Kristen and Renee both, and say thank you for all their efforts. It was a fantastic effort, and it's going to be a great program, and like Nancy said, it's going to serve an underserved population, which is very important to the town. So we're an energy efficiency leader, and we continue to be, and it's because of the great staff that we have.
Absolutely.
So wanted to recognize that.
And the great ideas
And volunteers.
motivation. Yeah, this was Renee's thought baby, so it's really exciting to
Great
be able
teamwork.
to bring it to fruition. Yeah.
Well said. It is great teamwork, and the Energy Committee, at least since I've been on the board
Incredible.
for the last 5 or 6 years, the work that you've done, the initiatives that you've brought to town are just incredible. Hardworking committee, and you get it done. Thank you. Passionate and committed. Appreciate it. As the Select Board Rep to the Energy Committee, would you like to make the motion?
Sure. Let me get the thing out. Do you have the...
It's on the backside,
Thank you. No, not on mine.
the suggested motion.
I know. Can I...
I could entertain. It's not written out.
Yeah, if you would, please, because there's
Sorry,
too many initials.
I just thought.
Yeah,
So I would entertain a motion to accept the.
You want to make the motion?
it's on the backside, Nico, if this is suggested one, if you want.
No, that's not. That's the.
Oh,
I would entertain a motion to accept the Department of Energy, Energy Efficiency and Conservative Block Grant in the amount of $200,000 to support a project called Creating Efficiencies at Exeter's Manufactured Home Parks.
So moved.
second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you. One more public hearing.
Okay.
Paperwork in order. Next up is the consideration of accepting a grant in the amount of $20,000, which is, and this is for the Moose Plate Grant. And I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing for the grant acceptance of the Moose Plate Grant.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Public hearing is open. Would you like to introduce this?
Sure.
Thank you. Kristen Murphy.
So Kristen Murphy, Conservation and Sustainability Planner, which is a lot longer title than it used to be. So this is a $20,000 no-match grant from the state's Moose Plate program. The purpose for this would be continued repairs of Rains Barn to get us closer to completing the list of repairs that we identified in 2018. And so we're, as you're aware, we currently have funding from LCHIP and a town allocation, and that work has been ongoing. It's going a little slower than we hoped because he lost his two employees, so it's a one-man band now. But this $20,000 would be focused, a portion of which would go toward clapboard repair and final coat of paint on the exterior. Right now, we don't have sufficient funds to do the exterior repairs on the north and the west side. We only have the south and the east side. So we'll get halfway there with what we have now. This will get us a little bit closer than that. Again, this was a competitive grant application. In the state, they received double the funding requests than they had available. So 14 applicants were awarded, and we were one of them. So it's exciting.
Terrific. Thank you. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak to this? And there's no one online, so seeing none, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Public hearing is closed. Bring it back to the board. Any questions or comments?
I just have a comment, rather, excuse me. So this project for Kristen has been ongoing for a few years. And there's been one obstacle after another, and she has persevered, and she keeps looking for grants and getting grants, and just keeps plugging away at the to-do list at the barn. So another kudos to Kristen and all of her efforts to get these grants. I mean, that's a big deal for us and,
It's a huge deal.
you know, our residents. So thank you for all of your efforts. You're continually looking out for opportunities, and thank you.
Yeah, I'm eager to have it completed. I really want to see events, like the full suite of events that we've been envisioning since I started in '08 start to occur in the barn.
You're getting
So
closer.
We're getting closer. I am preparing a T-Mobile Hometown grant application in hopes that caps at $50,000, so that could get us, if we were awarded it. We were denied in the past, but
you're trying again, and that's what I
learned
mean.
from the last
It's those
one, but
efforts.
It's
that
right now we have
we need to recognize.
a fair amount of clapboard. We purchased almost all of the clapboards that we needed because prices were climbing so quickly, and so they're in the barn. So we're kind of unable to continue to host events out there until this project's done. So,
Thank you.
Well, I just want to add on the congratulations for the hard work that you've done, because we kind of joked one day about how do you get your grants awarded? You know, how come you didn't, and how come you did? But it brings up the topic of grants management, and I will give Kristen as an example of, okay, we have these great grants, but there's paperwork behind them that need to be followed up on, and the finance director needs to be involved. And so I'm making a plug now for an eventual grants management person, at least work it out in somebody's job description or a new position sometime in the future. But I think we've seen enough evidence over the past, just this year even, of what can be done if we have the energy to put behind it.
I think that's right, and it'll be interesting, when I know the consultant that's working on the succession planning organization, be interesting to see if that's touched upon, number one. But I think between the work that Kristen has done, Dave Sharples, our town planner, Melissa Roy, assistant town manager, with some of the federal grants that she received from the pandemic. Paul Velasich, it would be an interesting exercise, and I know that you don't have a lot of spare time, Mr. Dean, but maybe we can delegate it to someone. But the last 2 or 3 years, just how many grants,
and how much
just the 4 department heads I mentioned, and what the amount of money that came in for the town, because the work that, and there are others, of course, but just thinking back the last year or two between you and Dave and Paul and Melissa, I mean, the extraordinary work that they've done to, I mean, it's got to be in the millions.
It has to be. And
Considerable.
To go back any
Yes.
further, we'd be going into the COVID era of everything was at a standstill. So I think a 2-year
Yeah.
back look would be a really good idea.
Just to celebrate, I mean, not to make extra work, Mr. Dean, but I think it's worth celebrating. It's extraordinary work, and
I might go back 5 years just because of the COVID break. That was really more than just a year. That
so
things
it's
weren't happening.
3 or 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I've already asked the finance director to get my numbers for the Heritage Commission and the HDC when he has spare time.
Yes. Any other questions or comments for Kristen? Great. If not, then I would entertain a motion for the Select Board to support accepting the $20,000 Moose Plate grant and authorize the Select Board Chair or his designee to execute all related paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is there more that I have?
So that concludes
Okay.
discussion items this evening.
Yeah, because that's it on the agenda. Is
I wasn't on the agenda?
I'm sorry.
That's it?
yeah, that's why I was kind of wondering, but I didn't know if you were here to public speak to something.
He thought he was on the agenda.
Darren Williams arranged it?
Jim Wyndham?
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
No, that's not. That's not.
I wasn't
tonight.
aware that that was being proposed for this evening.
No, I wasn't either.
You're on the agenda. I don't think you're on the agenda.
No, it's 79E is coming up on November 20th.
You're a
oh, I
little
have
early.
this date.
You're early, Mark.
Well, I apologize.
Better be late.
We'll set you up for the 20th.
Well, you were
Sit-
lucky it was light load tonight because you could have been here till
With you all, this was the fastest.
We have had three-minute
Just-
But I didn't see it.
We still have a little more work to do, but
Yeah.
despite 3 public hearings, that was...
Yeah, sorry, there
Quick.
was some.
I will connect with.
I apologize for the confusion, but Mr. Dean, while he's here, can we confirm that Mr. Wyndham will be prepared for November? I don't want him to come back unnecessarily.
Correct. November 20th, yes. And I will connect with Darren and make sure that that's in place.
Mario, it's always nice to see.
Yes, of course.
Sir, but if there's any change,
Oh, no. You'll
sir,
have to take that up with
there's
Darren.
any change for whatever reason, we'll let you know. But plan on the 20th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. Okay. Well, I apologize for that miscommunication.
I didn't think to really ask. I thought he was maybe here for public.
Yeah, well,
comment.
you don't, yeah.
Yeah.
It's an open meeting,
It's
so
always nice to see people in the audience.
it is. Forgive me 1 second, I lost my agenda. Okay. There are no abatements, credits, or exemptions this evening. There are no permits. However, about 2 months ago, we as a board spoke about providing or rewarding our staff with some additional time off during the holidays.
Yeah.
And we proposed a full day and 2 half days. The board was in agreement unanimously with that. We didn't take a vote, but unanimously we were all of the thought that that would be a great way to reward staff. Rightfully so, Selectman Chartrand requested that a memo be put out by the town manager's office for us to memorialize what we were looking to do for our employees. So that was provided as a supplemental packet and posted this afternoon. It is consistent with what we discussed in September. So what we thought would be nice to offer staff would be a half-day on Wednesday, November 22nd, which is the day before Thanksgiving. Town offices would close at 12:30 p.m. On Friday, December 22nd, again, a half-day, town offices would close at 12:30 p.m. And then on Tuesday, December 26th, town offices would be closed for the entire day. Any comments or questions?
I only have one. The
Go ahead.
logistics of, was there a reason why 12:30 was chosen?
That splits the day in half, more or
Okay.
less, and that's typically if the town clerk closes on Friday, the town clerk closes on Friday early, because
Yeah,
she's
at
open
noon.
late on Tuesdays.
Right, that's why I was
Right.
surprised, wondering about why it wasn't noon.
Okay.
That's all.
I mean,
We can change it to...
Could we consider please changing that to noon?
I'm open to suggestions.
Okay.
Okay, I would.
Do you have any
I'm going to
objections?
propose noon.
Okay. Do you want a motion, or did you just want acceptance from the board?
Just acceptance from the board is
Okay.
fine.
All right.
At noon
At noon.
for both.
That's what I'm.
Thank you.
November 22nd and Friday, December 22nd, noontime closing, and then closed all day on
Because
December.
that is the time that the clerk's office closes.
That's what I'm saying on the website, 12:30 on the website.
We just changed it.
We're just changing it now. Thank you. Really, thank you. Just with the town clerk's office closing, I just assume everybody get to go at the same time.
All right.
And thank them all
So-
for their hard work.
One last time, November 22nd, noon, December 22nd, noon, December 26th, closed all day.
Okay.
Okay. And we thank and we appreciate our staff
Yes.
and hope that they can enjoy a little extra time with their friends and family and enjoy the holidays.
Yes, thank you.
With that, Mr. Dean, I'll turn it over to you for town manager's report, please.
All right, we just met last week, so it's not going to be too lengthy of a report, but we do have more DPW director interviews scheduled for this week, so just to update the board on that process, it's ongoing. Veterans Day is being observed Friday, so the town offices will be closed on Friday. The other news we have to report is the new tax rate was set last week, and it is set at $26.78 per thousand. The town share of the rate is up 27 cents per thousand, so the new town rate is $6.23 per thousand.
And when and where will that be posted for the public?
We will put it on the website. We're in the process of putting together the tax warrant now, and once that is done and ready to be signed, we'll publish it online.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay. And then I wanted to report to the board, too, that today we got a 91A request regarding Pickpocket Dam. That's very extensive. It came from Brentwood, and we will be in the process of putting together information on that in the next several days.
Okay.
As I said, it's quite extensive, so I believe it's going to take us quite a bit of time to respond to it, but we will get back to the person within 5 business days, which is the requirement. We have to get back to them by law, so we will do that.
That brings up a question that when we were discussing the dam removal for Pickpocket, what the interaction between us and Brentwood would be, and when that discussion would start happening.
Yeah, and so far, the only formal correspondence that we've had is an email over to Brentwood with letters of deficiency, talking about the fact that the town has applied for this grant, and we are awaiting, information on it. Since that has been sent over to Brentwood, we have been contacted by the Brentwood Conservation Commission chair, and she has requested a copy of the grant application, so we did give that to her. And to date, those are the only things that have been really gone back and forth between the two towns. Now, I will say that I understand, and this is late breaking, but Brentwood will be discussing this tomorrow at their select board meeting. I just found out about it today, so I was going to report on it. But they will be discussing it tomorrow at 6 o'clock in Brentwood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything
You're
else?
And that's all I had.
Okay. Select Board Committee reports, Selectwoman Belanger.
So last Thursday, November 2nd, we had a planning board meeting. There was only one application on the agenda for that evening, McFarland Realty Trust, McFarland Ford. They came before the planning board for a site plan review and wetland conditional use permit. It was approved, and this is for the electric storage units. Ford and a few other major car dealers are doing a national, across the nation, trying to add electric car units that people can charge the public. They'll be open to the public. So those were approved. And the next meeting for the planning board is November 16th, and then the Housing Advisory Committee met November 3rd. We met a week earlier because of Veterans Day. And we discussed, we welcomed Heath to our committee. That was a good, wonderful addition. Thank them again. And then the committee did a follow-up discussion on 79E and the recommendations. And Russ was with us and was part of that, that we really can't get behind anymore. 79E, we feel the town just doesn't need those kinds of incentives because of, so anyway, Darren was part of that, and he'll add that to his presentation. We had a summary of a housing summit by Nick Taylor, who is the, Nick is the director of the Seacoast Workforce Housing Coalition. Again, another event that I was supposed to go to, and my day job kind of, so.
Was that the one in Dover?
It was. It was, and it led us into an ADU discussion and conversion discussion that was, I love the Housing Advisory Committee. We just came back to, so we're going to get more into ADUs and conversions, and if we feel this should be a recommendation to the planning board to clarify or clean up our zoning ordinances. We're going to do that at our next meeting.
Great.
Because there's like some oddities in there that, so. Yes. And that's it for me. I won't be at the next parking meeting.
Okay.
I'll be on the road, so just so you know that.
Thank you.
Taking a few days off. It is Tuesday the
15th.
15th?
14th.
14th, thank you. I was going to say the event's the 15th. Yes. So I'm leaving that morning. I thought about pulling over in a parking lot and doing it somewhere, but I'm really going to take
some
2 days off. I'll be back that night for planning, so, yeah.
Okay. I have nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. I did not have any committee meetings last week, although, Mr. Dean, do you want to speak briefly? Mr. Dean and I participated along with the police and fire chiefs and deputy chiefs and Mr. Glowacki to film a video that we're putting together, similar to what we did with the siphons. It's going to be about a 17 to 20-minute video relative to the proposed public safety building. It's informational, and I know Bob is working on formatting it in a very
good,
nice way in which people can spend 17 to 20 minutes and get informed and really not only hear what we're saying, but see what we're talking about. So I'm excited to see the finished product, and I believe he's close to being finished with the draft?
Close to being finished, yes.
Okay.
Thank you for doing that.
So
I'm looking forward.
We're excited. And again, it's informational only. It's much like the siphon video, just to educate and inform people with the facts and with the numbers and the figures and the reasons why. I believe you and I, Mr. Dean, are going to work with Assistant Manager Roy to put together a written document as well.
We're working on a piece for the paper.
Great.
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
Mr. Chair, one of the things that we did, I should say you did, for the Siphons project was sort of taking the show on the road. And I was just wondering if that kind of thing with any of the congregate housing places was going to happen again.
So I think that's a great idea, and And yes, you're right. I was invited to a couple of places in town to speak with the mass, audience. Coincidentally, Riverwoods has invited Mr. Dean and I to visit them next Wednesday night. So this will be a topic. It's a topic that they've requested that we talk about. Certainly,
Yes.
we would want to. And Mr. Dean and I have talked about we're going to kidnap Assistant Manager Roy and bring her with us too. So we're looking forward to that. But I think to go out and go on the road, it's the fun part of the job for me, personally speaking.
Good.
Good. So I just remembered something that I kind of volunteered you for, but
Oh,
you said
have I heard
Riverwood.
this?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry to do this way, but I meant to tell you before, and it completely slipped my mind. At the Housing Advisory Committee
Yeah.
meeting, Mr. Cameron, who lives at Riverwoods
Yes.
and is the planning board rep to the Housing Advisory Committee, he was so excited that he's not on it, but they're pulling together a committee to try to get more people at Riverwoods to volunteer for some of our boards and committees. And I said, I'll be happy to come talk to you. And I said, but better yet, Nico loves to talk about this stuff. So tell your committee chair that if they want someone to come talk to them about the committees and the commitment and what our openings are. So, sorry. I did
Don't be sorry. As I said,
volunteer you. So if somebody comes up to you at the meeting Wednesday night,
that's one
you're
of the
not
fun parts of
blindsided.
this job.
I know you
And
like it. I offered
and
myself.
Unless my kids have something,
yeah.
it's hard to say no to
Yeah.
anybody. Good.
Yeah, okay. Sorry.
Thanks for the heads up, though.
Oh, yeah, Nico will do it. Nico will do anything. There's that commercial there from a kid. Can I just ask one more? So parking, have you gotten, are we getting anywhere with options for parking enforcement, how we are going to address this?
No, so the chief and I need to talk about that as far as the
Okay.
enforcement
I just think
goes.
that with the study that's happening,
Yes.
we really need to have a plan A and a plan B on how we're going to start enforcing our parking. I think it's really important, and I remembered it when I was reading, we'll do our best to enforce something if we did the 15-minute parking. We can't. What's coming out in the study and the work that's happening in the study, we can't keep, that's part of the problem. And that's my opinion.
Fair enough.
So we do need to address parking enforcement.
Yep.
Somehow.
Very good.
Thank you.
Mr. Dean, last thing, speaking of committees, next week, I forget which day, but there'll be a Swayze Park trustee meeting.
Yes.
I would really like to extend an invitation before that meeting, maybe this week, if your office could do that. I'd really like to extend an invitation to the trustees to come to our select board meeting on the 20th
Okay.
to discuss the roadway, where we're at. That's a little overdue, and I know that DPW's been working behind the scenes, and they'll be ready to give us an update. With budget coming to a close and the BRC coming at our first December meeting, I know that Mr. Wyndham will be talking about 79E, but I really think that's an opportune time to invite the trustees to come in for a joint
Right.
meeting.
And just by way of a quick update, we did get an estimate from Grenice on the turnaround at the Swayze Parkway, but we're working with them to refine that estimate right
Okay.
now. So I didn't want to release a figure because
No need to do that right now.
on that.
But I will challenge two things. First, I think that this is a project that will probably require an RFP to get several quotes from.
Unless waived, yes, I would agree.
And second, I would challenge first and see what can we do internally.
Okay.
What work, we have a lot of talent in the public works, particularly now.
We are lacking some talent.
The caveat is
Getting-
fully staffed.
Yeah.
Right.
And understanding that this work probably won't get done until sometime early next
Spring.
year.
Yeah.
That gives us some time to fill the positions. I'm not, we don't want to overtax an overtaxed department already, but I do know that in the past, sometimes we look to go to a contractor when maybe there's work, and maybe they can't, I don't know,
Yeah.
but I would like to at least ask the question. We have the resources internally.
Okay.
So can I do a follow-up on that?
Yeah.
Once that is determined, that part of it's done, then we'll be able to put Renee Allen back on the agenda of where we'd put the Jude Hall, or is that being moved somewhere else? Do we know where that's at?
Yeah, we just had her in, or Mr. Dean and I signed a letter. She's working towards the spring of '24, correct?
Correct.
For
Yeah,
what
that's right.
location, though? She was waiting,
In the front of
In the
the
front,
Parkway.
I think she's
Okay.
found an alternate location that
Okay.
Near the flag.
will not have to wait,
oh, good.
and it's in a
I-
location that she was happy with
Okay.
and
Yeah.
was supporting,
Talking about
working with her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's why I was wondering about that, where we're at. So good, perfect.
Last but not least, not directly related to Select Board, but in town, there will be a holiday open house at the American Independence Museum on November 30th, so I'm just going to advertise that.
Good.
It should be nice for those that would like to attend. Anything else from?
No, I know there's one of the Historical Society, but I can't remember the date. That is coming to an end soon, so if anyone wants to see our past to current, it's a really interesting display at the Historical Society.
Good. All right. Reviewing the board calendar. There's no correspondence, by the way, in the packet. Reviewing the board calendar. We meet again on November 20th for a regular board meeting. We meet December 4th, December 18th, and there may be a day between the 25th and January 1st. Mr. Dean, correct, if we need to encumber?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We will be meeting at 5 o'clock this Wednesday on the 8th,
My calendar.
and that's it for,
Can I just ask you one more question on a question? So we're going to meet December 18th. You said there may be another one that we have to do, but the first is also on a Monday.
no, it's usually that week between Christmas and New Year's, and it's
yes.
in the morning, and it takes 10 or 15 minutes.
It would have to be this fiscal year
Yes.
as well, so that would be the
Okay.
end of
So
end of
sometime
December.
the week of the 25th.
So my request, Mr. Dean, is if you could give the board as much notice if folks are traveling
Yeah.
or celebrating outside of the state, or if it's something we can do on the 18th, that would be preferred.
Yeah, and we've tried to in the past get you the list of encumbrances before the last week in
Okay,
December.
it's the
So we'll make
encumbrances. I missed that part of it.
we'll make every effort to do that again this year for
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else? This
No.
may set a record, other than a special select board meeting called unexpectedly. I don't think we've ever done one in under an hour. So,
I'm going to move that we adjourn.
Second.
any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We stand adjourned. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.